video is on how to accept and respect other cultures. Um, Regardless of where you live in this great big earth, chances are you will eventually interact in some way with another culture who is different than your own. When most of the people think about culture, their first thoughts involve race or ethnicity. Culture goes far beyond that, however. In fact, we are all members of various culture groups, and our culture identities develop based on the influence of these memberships. Um, like most of things that make you who you are, development of your cultural identity is an ongoing process. As we are exposed to different sets of beliefs and values, we may adopt other cultural beliefs that were not part of our original makeup. In this way, culture is dynamic and complex. In addition to race and ethnicity, our culture orientations are influenced by gender, class, physical and mental abilities, sexual orientation, religious and spiritual beliefs, age, and much more. The individual is a complex mix of many cultural influences woven together. It is therefore impossible to define a person by a single cultural label. To further complicate matters, our cultural histories are filtered by individual psychological characteristics and experience, ensuring that even those sharing cultural similarities are truly unique. The 10 cultural universals. There are certain things that are part of every culture. These things are called cultural universals. Though the elements within each will differ, every culture includes 1, geographic, location, land, 2, family and kin, roles of males, females, children, elders, and these include the division of labor, child training, and rites of passage. 3, political organizations, laws and rules, government, law enforcement, warfare, and peace. 4, language, includes spoken, written, sign language, body language, and number systems. 5, food, clothing, transportation, and shelter. This includes everyday wear and ceremonial wear, and also includes types of housing and building material. 6, technology, includes inventions, tools, and weapons. 7, beliefs, values, and rituals. Religious beliefs and practices, birth and death rites, myths, and legends. 8, economics, includes the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, jobs, trade, and money. 9, creative expression, includes dance, music, literature, games, and leisure activities. 10, education. It can be formal or informal, includes knowledge needed for survival, training, and passing on of group values. So the elements of culture. Culture is a system of shared beliefs that are used by a society in order to interact with the world as well as each other. Often we think of food, music, clothing, and holidays that are shared by a group as their culture, but these are only some of the elements. Other elements include customs, values, behaviors, and some artifacts. Culture is therefore a combination of thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs shared by those of the same racial, ethnic, religious, or other social group. Many of these groups we are born into, such as race and ethnic. Others we choose, such as religious or political. Many of us move between groups, adjusting our ideas and beliefs as we grow and learn. Those who go through cultural shifts may adopt new customs, but they will retain elements of their previous cultural experience. So how to be culturally responsive. The ability to learn from and relate respectfully to people of your own culture as well as others is known as cultural responsivity. Being culturally responsive requires openness to the viewpoints, thoughts, and experiences of others. This is not about changing others to be more like you. Instead, it is about exploring and honoring the differences of others. Developing a cultural responsive attitude is a lifelong journey and includes many different things. So one of the things it includes is developing cultural self-awareness. What influenced your own cultural identity? What values and beliefs do you hold and why? Understanding your own cultural makeup is the first step to understanding that others hold different views, values, and beliefs, and believe in them as much as you believe in yours. So 2 is learn to appreciate and value diverse views. Do not judge views that differ from yours as wrong. Instead, just accept that they are different and even try to understand other points of view. 3. Avoid imposing your own values. Once you are aware of cultural differences, you may find that the cultural norms of some groups make you uncomfortable. Again, it is important to resist the urge to judge. Instead, make a conscious effort to understand the other perspective. 4. Resist stereotyping. Avoid all stereotypes, whether negative or positive. Stereotypes such as blondes are dumb or Asians are good at math will never be true of all individuals within that population. 5. Learn what you can. Reading about or talking to members of another culture, or visiting a friend's cultural celebration is a great way to increase your knowledge and overall acceptance. Like, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness, but when I was younger, I actually attended a Jehovah's Witness church with a friend of mine to help understand that aspect of her a little bit more. It actually made us a little bit close. I think made us a little bit closer as friends too. 6. Accept your own Naviet. Cultural responsiveness may require you to forgive your own mistakes and ignore ignorance. Don't dwell on them. Instead, learn from them. So, breaking culturally accepted norms makes people uncomfortable. So, there's some, let's see here, examples of different cultural norms. So, elements of sense of self and space is one element. Mainstream American culture is an informal handshake. Other cultures might be a hug, a bow, communication and language. In America, it's explicit, direct communication with an emphasis on content. In other cultures, it may be implicit, indirect communication with emphasis on context. Dress and appearance. In American culture, we have a wide range of accepted dress and a dress for success ideal. Whereas in other cultures, religious rules of dress often seems as a sign of wealth, prestige, and position. Food and eating. Fast food eating is as necessity, like we eat as necessity in America. Another place, religious rules for food and eating, dining is often a social experience. Time and time consciousness. In American culture, we view time as linear. Time consciousness is exact, value on promptness, with a time equals money ideal. Whereas in other cultures, it's more elastic. Time consciousness is relative, more time spent on enjoyment of relationships than on time is money ideals. Relationships. In America, we focus on intimate, family, high responsibility for self, and value on youth. In age is kind of seen as a handicapped, whereas in other cultures, they focus on the extended family. Responsibility is to family. Age is a sign of status and respect. Another thing that differs is value and norms. Individual orientation, independence, and preference for direct confrontation during conflicts is what the American culture does. Others might be a group orientation, conformity, and preference for harmony. And then we have belief and attitudes in America. It's destiny controlled by the individual, gender equality, and challenging of authority. In other cultures, hierarchical, respect for authority, different roles for men and women, and individuals accept their destinies. Same with mental processes and learning styles in America. In the American culture, it's linear, sequential, and logical, and it's focused on problem solving. In other cultures, it may be lateral, holistic, and accepting of the difficulties of life. And finally, for this segment, it's work habits. In America, it's focused on emphasis on tasks, work. It has altruistic value, and reward is based on achievement. In other culture, emphasis on relationship, work is a necessity of life, and rewards are based on seniority. So consider this. How do you feel when someone doesn't make eye contact with you? How do you feel when someone sustains eye contact for a long period of time? Do you make assumptions about that person? If so, what are they? So in some cultures, another thing is eye contact may be seen as a sign of disrespect, so they might not make eye contact with you. Um, in America, we assume it's because of a mental disorder, whereas in many cultures, that's just a part of life. So you can't assume based off of that, or you assume that, or in America, we assume they're being rude if they don't make eye contact, but that's not the case. So, what is tolerance? Tolerance is another very important concept when learning about to respect and accept other cultures. But what is tolerance and why is it important? Generally speaking, tolerance is the recognition of the universal human rights and freedoms of others, and it is not a passive concept. Tolerance does not equate to indifference or indulgence. Instead, it is a freely given acceptance of the difference of others, and it is a recognition of the value of those differences without judgment. In other words, it is a respect of diversity, and many people, that is also the very virtue that makes peace possible. Um, so there's tips for fostering tolerance. One is to live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. Two, view differences as positive. Learning about diversity and cultural differences can be fun. Rather than being fearful and critical of people who are different, learn about their differences. Three, don't blame all people in a particular ethnic group or religion for a cruel action of a few who happen to be from the same group. And lastly, remember we all share the same world, regardless of our differences. This world belongs to us all. To be tolerant is to welcome those differences and even to delight in them.